So I don't have the reference on the face pulled up, and that's somewhere in a folder deep away. So I don't think we'll talk too much about the head or the face here. But looking at the hat, it looks like you started to get some of those creases in there, those hits that we saw last time. This is a different hat than what the other character was wearing. I don't know if this is the same character or not. But yeah, here, let's focus more on proportions and that good stuff, since that is what you would like to look at. Let me make sure we don't have any additional questions here. Kalari, welcome to the stream. You're a premium member now. Oh boy. Same character, different style. Okay, I see. Gotcha. I don't know if I would say different style, but different costume for certain. Alright, so proportions. The first thing about this is that your head looks way too big for your body. And your body feels pretty stiff. So that would be the first general, that's probably going to be most of what we look at today. So I think you've done this in a good way though, kind of just blocking out all your shapes, keeping these pretty simple. That's always good. Let's grab all of this, and I'm going to split this off from your head. So we'll do a split hidden. I think there are some things here that you can kind of clean up in your face. If we look at the surface noise here, it's pretty messy. I see a lot of these like really tiny kind of pockmarked shapes here that are, you know, definitely stuff that we would want to clean up. But again, I think we'll just kind of focus on this body and proportions. So, head too large for your body. So, let's scale this up a little bit. Now, when looking at an image that is in perspective, and the character has a certain pose to it, or you only have one image to work from, you don't have a model sheet essentially, which will be, surprisingly, most of the time. Very rarely do I ever receive a model sheet for something. I have before, I have multiple times, but most of the time it's like, here are some different images, go to town. So a lot of the time you'll even be stuck with just one image, which is very often the case as well. And in those instances, it can be tough. It can be tough to figure out proportions. It can be tough to figure out, you know, to interpret what's going on parts of the model that you can't see. So there are some fundamentals that we can use to kind of help revolve a shape and interpret what that would translate to in three-dimensional form. I think you've done, like I said, a fairly good job of kind of blocking a lot of this stuff out in terms of just really simplistic form. I like that. What I would like to do here, a lot of the time, if I'm struggling, what I'll do is start doing some proportions in Photoshop, or just a quick draw over in Photoshop to start figuring out shape. She's wearing a lot of stuff on top. I think we're not going to take the time to do that. I think we're just going to take a gander here and go crazy. So let me make this body proportionally accurate to your head that you have. Because your head is just way too big for your bod. So let me very quickly load that back in. So hopefully it's obvious to you now, kind of looking back at this, how large your head is compared to your body. I know we have more childlike proportions, but in terms of the size of the head to the shoulder ratio, you know, her shoulders, she's kind of turned at this 3/4 view, so her shoulders kind of appear a bit more narrow than they actually are. So let's see, let's kind of maybe line some more of this up. I think we're definitely feeling a lot closer. From here, what I would probably start to do next is widen out your body. I'm going to do this very generally and kind of block out and break some stuff, but I think that's okay. I would maybe, let's look at the scale of your legs here. I actually think you're fine on the proportions of your legs. I don't think you're super far off. That knee hit feels pretty good to me. If anything, just like general a general shortening of some of this. Maybe not. I think it's probably fine. What you're probably going to want to do next is start working on combining some of these pieces, especially flowing up into... Oh, make sure you have some geometry that's duplicated here, so just be aware of that. Let me split that. Let me run an auto groups here maybe? Yeah, there we go. So typically when I start getting to that stage, I might consider working on one leg at a time. It's because I find it to be easier. And just do like a quick Dynamesh here. What's your scale? Yeah, that's probably fine. Don't know where your butt went. Let me undo real quick. Put that back. Ah, those are merged together. That's what's wrong. Alright, let's try that again. Let me see if I can split that off. There we go. Alright, so let's do a quick Dynamesh on this. Try again. And again, I find it easier to work on one side at a time. It's really up to you. But then after you start kind of getting into this secondary stage of kind of blending some of this together a little bit better, you can always split stuff off later. Start worrying about that some more. But let's see here. In terms of proportions from the profile, I think this leg, this upper leg, is way too thick. I think your arms are probably fine once you get that clothing on there. In terms of position here, let me split these off really quick. You'd also, I think, really want to work on the shape of your torso and rib cage. I think most of this is fine, but that's something that we'd probably want to work on. I think your arms are pretty good in terms of length. Looking at your torso, though, in terms of kind of, let's see here. Let's do that. So we really want to focus on that kind of basic egg shape. Let me turn those off. Egg shape of the rib cage first. Coming up here. So we got this rounded shape here on each side, right? All the way up to there. Let me just get that in a bit better. And then on the back, you have your traps, your trapezius and your latissimus dorsi that affect the shape back here. So it's a little bit more squared off. And I think that's already starting to feel better just by kind of planing out some of this stuff along the ribs. You can kind of spend as much time as you want here, but we'll just kind of maybe plane some of this off very quick. Make sure we're getting that roundness for the rib cage. Your armpits are gonna slot into there, which I like doing this same thing that you've done here with your deltoids. Kind of splitting that off as a separate mesh. One thing that you really want to look at, though, is making sure that your polygon islands, separate meshes essentially, are not having these very large hits between them. So it's fine to work this way, and I work this way myself, but you really want your shapes to flow and blend into each other a lot better. Anything that's kind of going to break up your silhouette, and that's why I've recommended to you that you start merging some geometry together, because I think it'll help you with this problem. I wouldn't merge my hands together like I'm doing here, but I'm just doing this all at once so we can kind of get through this fast. So where these kind of merge together, think about that shape a little bit better. Think about how that's kind of coming together there. The deltoid here, you're going to want this to, again, kind of one of those polygon island things. Let me turn off your head. We got a lot of stuff going on here. But we want this to have like a nice flow between these two shapes, so I would probably make sure that that is having a nice curve through there. Probably fill out some more of that up top. Make sure that we're not getting too thick up towards that kind of collarbone area, and I would start to block in my collarbone as well, and just start to continue like proportionally figuring out where more and more of this stuff is. So in general, I think, you know, most of your kind of very quick general proportional changes won't take very long. I think the breasts are going to be a lot smaller than what you have here, and the shape here isn't extremely good either, so I'd do a second pass on that. That's kind of why I hit them, plus it was just hard to see. But I think working on one leg at a time will help you, and then you can just mirror that over. Remember that if you do use mirror and weld, that your geometry in the middle will merge together, so you might want to mirror with a subtool master mirror or a different operation. There's some other ways to do that as well. There's some other stuff here that we can kind of block out really quick. And you got the bottom of your rib cage sweeping up here from the profile. This is going to need to blend into the butt there a little bit better. And a bunch of stuff. Just a lot of little things that kind of add up into big things over time. But I think that would be probably enough to kind of get you started and headed in the right direction. And yeah, starting to get there. Again, I think these legs are probably, whoops, I don't have symmetry on. Legs are probably a bit too thick here on the upper portion. It just transitions from really fat to really skinny between these so fast that it feels a bit rushed, feels a bit awkward. So let me remesh that so that I can make a quick change. Very quick, so fast. Awesome. So let me turn off your arms. I recommend turning off your arms when you're working on your profile. I think the weight of your character feels all right. Let me see here. Definitely more childlike proportions. I think the basic shapes that you have here are good. There's maybe some like slight changes I would start to make as I start getting more up into secondary forms. But I think that weight is starting to feel a lot better. Kind of for that upper leg. I don't know, I might slide those back a little bit just so you can work on that, and probably, you know what, instead of doing that, I'd probably move all of this together at once. Whoosh. Just so we can get a little bit more on balance there. And yeah, continue to go from there. And I think, like I said, I think that'll be a good start for you. So, main thing, right from the get-go, body and head proportionally are way too off. So, head is way too large, body way too small. So flip one or the other. Start kind of getting a little bit closer to what we got going on here. Ooh, we got a lot of extra garbage going on here that I didn't clean up. That's fine. That's fine. We'll forget about that. But I think, again, I think that'll be good. Go from there. Kick some butt. Pay attention to those polygon islands merging together well. Getting a good kind of flow. Start thinking about interlocking shapes, how these are going to sync up and connect together. There's going to be a lot going on there with all that. Probably playing out this elbow a bit more than just having a sphere slapped on there. Neoplex, what's up? Welcome to the stream, and thank you for the follow. Specifically around here in the deltoid, this is shoulder girdle's like a really tough area, so you'll probably have to spend quite a bit of time in that area, just getting getting that to blend nicely. So pay special attention to all these kind of connective areas. And yeah, good luck to you, man. Good luck to you. More butt feedback. I kind of just changed the plane here, filled in a lot of this information. If we look at the original, you know, we just have some spheres kind of connected up on there. I like working on my legs one at a time, so that's why I split that. I use something like a pinch or mech cut brush to kind of come between there. I have a bunch of blockout meshes that I can show off that are a lot further along. If we want to look at that, let's start working on getting all that connecting up together nicely and making sure that I see a lot of like butts overdone with the legs and everything from the profile, to make sure that, you know, it's really like you don't have like a huge shelf here a lot of the time. Like you don't have a lot going on back here unless there's a leg to support that form. So just make sure that that is the case. Other than that, I think, again, you got some good stuff going on here and a good rough start.